Hi everyone, it's Matt McLennan with Kidder Matthews in Tacoma, Washington. I get a question from a lot of my landlords, and it's, Matt, what happens if my tenant goes bankrupt or stops paying rent or vacates the property before their lease is up? And it's a really difficult question to answer. Your lease will provide remedies for your tenant going into default. In this case, this would be a default situation. And so what you need to do is first review your lease. Second, I'd suggest that you consult with your real estate broker and your attorney to figure out what your options are. But what I've run into a lot of times is we build these leases and we put a lot of bona fide provisions in place to protect both landlord and tenant. But when you get in this situation, it's really a review of allocation of resources and what do you want to pursue. Because typically you'd have to take legal action against the tenant if they were to vacate or stop paying rent, which you have every right in your ability to do so as a landlord. However, that involves cost. And where I operate in Washington State, where we're generally favored as a tenant favorable state, then you have to look at, okay, what are my costs to pursue this tenant? How long is it going to take? And how much do I stand to recover in the event that I am successful? And unfortunately, a lot of the times, depending on how much lease term is left or what the total consideration of the lease was to begin with, it might not be worth pursuing it. There might be alternative ways to settle with your tenant or come up with some other kind of trade that would make sense. But the reality is you have to look at the situation case by case and really dig in on the specifics and consult with your brokers, with your attorneys, with your CPA, everyone else involved to figure out what you can mitigate here, because it's not as straightforward as the tenant signed the contract and now they owe all the rent that's due just because they left early. Oftentimes you have to pursue and really chase it down. Now, as your broker, what I try to do with my clients in this situation is at least help them work through it, not only figuring out what to do in that situation, but how do we replace said tenant and get the property back on track. Obviously, it's usually an unforeseen circumstance, so anything I can do to mitigate that loss a little bit. It's nothing that we can foresee. We all go into these lease situations trying to do as much homework, as much research, as much financial credit review on these tenants as we can. But sometimes these situations happen, so when they do, surround yourself with professionals who know what they're doing, and don't give up hope. There's usually always a path forward. So we'd love to talk more about it if you had any questions. Thanks for watching.